And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we are going to be discussing games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all those in one week. I'm still your host, Harrison, and to my right,
James.
And to my left.
Hi, I'm Faust.
And we got a fair amount of stuff this week is what we got. Computex is happening.
A lot of hardware stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of time until E3. So stuff's starting to come out for that.
Yeah, we're getting some teasers for E3, but mostly the big stuff that came out was the announcements for Computex.
Yeah.
Which is this weekend.
Yep.
And
And Computex seems to almost kind of dwarf CES nowadays because it happens in Taipei, and it seems to have a lot more hardware tech.
Oh yeah,
at Computex.
Cool.
So I do have to admit that I'm a little bit out of my element here because of all of the hardware stuff. I mean, just trying to keep up on these things.
Like the Asus motherboard?
Yeah. So I'm probably going to have some pretty beginner questions about these things.
Beginner questions?
Being
beginner
nice.
questions.
Yeah.
Well, I think the big thing is you were saying with like the Asus motherboards is actually, it's not even technically Asus per se. It's the X299 Intel chipset boards and the new i9 processors.
Oh, those are nice.
Which are, the numbers alone sound so ludicrous to me. The 18 core, 36 thread. So 2 threads a core?
Did they do away with that virtual core thing they had?
No.
Or is that still there?
No, that's the virtual core. That's the threads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
okay.
Kind of. I mean, you have 2 threads per core, basically.
Yeah. I don't know what... I mean, I understand the cores are...
Disney would need it.
Yeah. I understand that the cores are basically like back in the day with processing chips. When they first started out, they were basically like a single core kind of thing. And we were just pushing that to its absolute limit over time.
Yeah.
And then came the dual core processors where they said, well, if we've hit the absolute max that we can do with just 1 core, how about we just double that up? And then double that up and double that up. And now we're hitting the point where there's 18 and these aren't different size chips from what I understand. They still look like processors, but they've managed to squeeze so much into this tiny space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
wouldn't that be for more rendering?
I mean, it is for high computation.
High computation, rendering, Photoshop, that sort of thing. But this is on a desktop level or workstation level. And the reason why a lot of this is all just a knee-jerk reaction by Intel. Because of AMD's Threadripper.
I was gonna say, hold on, let me get my shocked face on. Oh no,
they're in heavy competition as usual,
right?
AMD and Intel. So AMD had recently announced and dropped the Ryzen,
which has been
architecture.
The Ryzen architecture, which is like disrupting the market with its price.
Amazingly affordable.
Yeah,
and they're really good,
and they're competitive with like current available non-enthusiast Intel processors.
Yeah, and they're like 8-core processors with like 16 threads essentially. And so this was basically, you're getting like a $500 processor for half the price of an Intel processor, sometimes even like a third. And so it's forcing them to drop their prices on things. And then AMD just, whenever they get going on something, which happens
once every 3 years,
once every 5, if not more, they keep the guns blazing. And so they had also announced the Threadripper, which is supposed to be coming out this summer, which is a 16-core 32-thread processor.
Nice.
So because of this, Intel had to do something. So they announced this whole i9 line of processors. And that's where they get the 18-core 36-thread one.
But these things are being announced as like enthusiast level processors. Like the only reason you would need it is to say that you had it.
This processor's $2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
I can put together a damn fine computer for $2,000 without having to buy one of those processors.
Yeah, their 16-core i9 is going to be still like $1,700.
Yeah.
And their they have a new set of i7s that are going up to 8 core, and the high end one there is still like $600.
That's a lot.
That's $600, and it comes within a price range that's competitive with the Ryzen processors at that point. But it's a whole new socket, so
you'd have to get a whole new motherboard.
Yeah. And so these are basically what's kind of replacing like the old X99 socket boards.
But unless you're going through and just sticking with the upgrade cycle, it sounds like a lot of these components are part of like the backbone component of a system. So it's like motherboard, processor, memory, GPU nowadays. In my mind, and power supply. I've always kind of viewed these as backbone sort of bits that you can upgrade them. And you can swap them out for stuff that's slightly better. But if you create a significant jump with one component, chances are that it's just going to domino effect down the entire system, and you're going to end up having to upgrade everything, essentially.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, this is, if you're shopping for a new computer, or the parts to put together a new computer, which is still a fun thing to do.
It is.
Then, yeah, you're going to end up buying all of everything. You're not going to cannibalize anything from your current system. From what I understand here. If you do, then you're not utilizing these new components to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you probably won't be able to use them at all.
Yeah. Well, the thing here is, I mean, this is like I said, this is very much a knee jerk because they had just announced not too long ago, like the 7 series processors and DDR4 memory, and they were doing good there. And then all the AMD stuff came out, and they're starting to get into the market, and the benchmarks are coming back that they're really good. And then they announced this Threadripper and everything else. And then all of a sudden Intel's like, oh, look, we haven't needed i9s before, but here they are,
Here you guys go. More stuff.
Yeah. And they're called the Kaby Lake X. Basically, it's all in the, like I said, very similar architecture to what the old X99 was. Mm-hmm. So this is a workstation type or enthusiast board. It has 8 memory slots, and the others used to have like
4 typically.
No, well, not on the X99 series. It was typically 6 or 12.
12 memory slots.
Yeah, because it was.
This is if you're doing like you're doing a garage level like render farm or something like that. Is what it sounds like to me. I
got one technically. I mean, because I have a workstation computer, that is running on one of the basically the Xeon X99 style processors, and it has 8 memory slots of DDR3. It's like, and so basically there's 2 banks that can be used and split up by the processor. But this is like Intel's really feeling the pressure again, which is good considering that they are putting out an 8-core processor at a price that is competitive enough with the AMD processors. And considering their old extremes were like double the price of this one is impressive, and we're finally going to see them stepping up more in the home versus I guess the consumer market or workstation market, enthusiast market, more than just 4 cores or 6 cores, or and that's where they kind of stopped at.
Is quad core still a viable, just entry level kind of thing if you want to just play like current generation games and graphics and stuff like that? Or
dual core is still basically any i7 i5 processor, even if they have like 2 cores or even like those, are still good for the entry level games nowadays.
It's just you want to move up from there if you want to improve your graphical or your response experience, or if you want to get into like heavy competitive play.
Yeah, and most of it really still falls on the graphics card more so than anything, GPU. Because there are few games that actually take advantage of all these cores. The only ones that I think do are typically like the real-time strategy games, like your Civilization 6 is CPU dependent, and then there's the other one that they've been using for a lot of benchmarks. Ashes of Singularity is very CPU dependent, but that's all in the real-time strategy games. Your standard games like Overwatch, Counter-Strike,
didn't Crisis Core? Well, no, not Crisis Core. Crisis, just Crisis.
Crisis wasn't CPU; it was more GPU still.
Yeah, Crysis was basically a way of benchmarking your GPU.
That was a good one, too.
That
Because I
was a
remember
good-
Crysis
so
3.
Yeah,
When we got that one, we got our computer to crash because we tried to put it at
I'd
the
say-
highest resolution and didn't have a good card at the time.
Yeah.
I'd say this in this day and age, the game that's probably going to push your system to its absolute limit is going to be dependent upon your system. Really, if it's just a 1080, if it's a 1080 system, not a 4K dependent system, you could probably do Doom, the Doom 2016.
Nice.
Doom doesn't even push nowadays.
And then the 4K is probably Fallout 4. And it's not that you're pushing your system, it's that this is a common system requirements game that you want to run smoothly. If these games run smoothly, then anything that came out a little bit after asks for a little bit more in the way of requirements, you kind of get a sense that you could still run that and be reasonably capable of playing it.
Yeah.
Whereas these games just sort of are that's the thing about a benchmark, is I don't really view a benchmarking as the highest capability. You want to see over the benchmark.
Yeah.
When it comes to testing. And so these games in my mind set the mark.
Well, for the mainstream stuff, the majority of things that people play, the ones that gain popularity and gain traction are usually also developed to be on consoles too. So there's not too many that are actually really pushing systems nowadays. Surprise, surprise.
But still, it's amazing the games that are coming out and the level of detail and the calculations, if you know anything about game development and the stuff that's going on in the background, to just give you the visual feedback or the tactile feedback that you receive from a video game. Like, they are making use of, they're doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
And they're still not making use of the full resources required.
And a lot of it is because, I mean, when you go from like 1080p to 4K, there's not too many games that you're going to see a significant difference in. There's only a handful of games. Other than that, you're just pushing the card harder, So
it does come to, if you get a game, want to put together a system just to play video games, then you can meet or exceed slightly the hardware capabilities of any known current day console, because they are being developed in tandem like that.
Yes, I mean, granted, your computer is going to cost you about $800, but it's going to play better than any console.
And then if you add in, or if you double that cost, or if you add a little bit more to that cost, you can put together a system that's reasonably capable of content generation and being able to do things like design your own video games, create your own game assets, render video and edit, that kind of thing, and do it within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And so it is really, do you want to step up to something of a workstation, or if you're going to actually do some work with this computer, as opposed to just playing.
Now, we might start seeing a paradigm shift here, where we might see more game makers start to take advantage of all these multi-cores, because even in your Xbox One, your Scorpion that's coming out, in your PlayStation 4 Pro, there's 4 or 8 cores in those. And so we may see another paradigm shift here, like we saw 9 years ago at this point, where we started to get like the dual core and the quad core processors that were coming out. That was the start of a paradigm shift.
That's when the current console generation became a thing. See, the thing about it is, folks, for the longest time, the things that we people our age grew up kind of like to know and love and enjoy about video games, some of these things were actually because of limitations of the systems they were on.
True.
So the color palettes, the graphics, the pixelated graphics, the 2D gameplay versus 3D gameplay, like all of this stuff was because the console was only capable of so much.
Yeah.
Now we have consoles that are capable of pretty much anything that anybody sets to them.
Yeah.
And
for the most part.
And it really, in my mind, it's like, well, then what is the next step? What is the next thing that's going to be?
VR.
Yeah. But I'd like to think that, but unfortunately it's being mishandled so much.
Right. By
so many people that it's going to take a while before it loses its fad status and actually starts being developed for as an actual thing. And there's unfortunately going to be a shift where it's going to be games that are designed as they are now for the usual screen and controller kind of play. And then it has to be that there are games that are specifically and solely designed for VR play.
The first one that's going to make the step probably is going to be Fallout 4 VR. That should be shown off here at E3.
That would be cool to see. I
Hopefully,
want to see that.
Hopefully we get to see that. Yeah,
And that's going to be probably the first serious contender. But in regards to all these systems and all, one of the interesting things is we were talking about graphics. Let's look at the AMD graphics, because I know a fair amount about them, compared to like the 1080s and everything.
Okay.
I know about those too. But architecturally, there's been some improvements, but since basically the R9 290X through the R9 390s, the RX 480s, RX 580s, they have not really moved much up on the benchmark. Like, it's been very consistent. So we've gone through 4 generations of cards. They can still play all the games, 1080, perfectly smooth, and everything else like that. The big things have been either more memory or the card has gotten cooler, and the price has dropped. But as far as
reductions in power consumption,
but as far as moving the benchmark mark, hasn't really happened. But what's crazy about these cards is that if you are looking even for the new RX 580s, you're looking for the 480s, you're looking for 380Xs or 290Xs, or you're looking for any of those cards, which are all basically the same family. They are still hard to find after, almost 3 years.
Well,
3 years.
I could see that just because they are the older cards. They would be the more affordable cards, especially for people who can't really afford a current or even a higher end.
But this is where you're wrong.
Yeah.
This is absolutely where you're wrong. So finding either the used cards or even the brand new RX 580s, okay?
Yeah.
You cannot find these things because they are still out of stock, because these are still the preferred cards to be used by Bitcoin miners.
No way.
Yes way.
Get out of town.
The RX 290 was so much more efficient at Bitcoin mining. It took forever for the market to recover. Right now, an RX 580... if you can find them, they're like $500. Those cards are $200 cards or $250 cards.
But because the demand is so high, the price is set so high.
Yeah, because they are so much more efficient for Bitcoin mining than an Nvidia card.
And Bitcoins themselves are such a volatile market because they blew up as far as actual worth was concerned. And then they sort of petered off, and now it's like when you have a Bitcoin, you don't know if it's going to be
worth anything
at all. And if you're mining them, that's what essentially a Bitcoin is. It's just pulling like the 10th of a percent of a cent in transactions that go on, and it's just pulling all of that into an actual form of currency. Yeah, it's a weird mathematical premise.
You want me to blow your mind here?
Okay.
So Bitcoins basically came out in May of 2010, so we're about 7 years ago. If you had $100 worth of Bitcoins, like when they came out at the beginning of the craze, it would be equivalent of having $70 million today. But
yeah, good luck cashing them in, though.
Yeah, that's virtual currency, and that's part of the problem with it. But it does affect the hardware, and so like the old R9 290Xs still go for over $200 used on eBay. And I'm sitting on 2 of these cards right now. And I can either go make a Bitcoin mining station, or turn around and sell them and for what it would cost to buy like a RX 480 now, or even a 580. That's insane that the card has that much lasting power, not because of the video games, but because of their Bitcoin mining potential.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of repurposing technology, and I do like the idea. I always didn't. I never liked it. Like when I keep my own computer, and I change out components as I need to upgrade them. Though I hold off on my upgrade cycles. As long as it continues to play the games that I can play, that's fine with me. Yeah. But I don't like. I know a lot of enthusiasts and people who will change out their computer components and just have this box or filing cabinet or something like that that's just stuck full on stuff, and it's like you could put together so many systems out of that pile of stuff and have them doing something.
I would actually probably have that set up too if it weren't for the fact that I have 2 roommates that are like, no.
Yeah.
I would probably be there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I don't have like a stack of like 4 other video cards just sitting around. I don't know what you're talking about.
I am exaggerating it, but you're probably not exaggerating at all.
No.
Like I said,
So-
if it wasn't for the fact that I have two roommates that are like, no, I'd be the same exact way. I'd have 4 video cards, probably like 2 cases sitting in the room. You could probably build a whole brand new computer. Yeah.
Well, before we move on to like the E3 stuff, though, because of the Bitcoin stuff, there's actually speculation right now that when the AMD Vega graphics cards drop that are supposed to be on a performance level near the 1080s,
They'll give
if
you a
not
little
better.
mask and claws.
Yeah, sure.
You don't get the reference?
I get the reference. That's why I sighed.
I missed it completely.
It's
Vega,
a
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Okay.
That those cards are going to potentially become hard to find too, because if they are just as efficient at Bitcoin mining as the rest of the AMD cards have been, that's where they're all going to go. They're going to go into machines that are sitting on 4 or 6 of these AMD Vega cards and just mining Bitcoins.
Just mining Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the industry can keep up with production.
Did you guys see the one video I posted a while back of the guy made a Bitcoin machine with like 4 1080 video cards? No, Titans. The Titan ones.
Yeah.
And then it caught on fire.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was sitting there.
Which is what you...
It was either a Bitcoining machine or it's a gaming machine. No, it's a gaming rig.
He tried to do 4 Titans.
He had 4 Titan X's on there, and then it just caught on fire.
That's what happens when you don't have a properly cooled system that's pushing the limits like that. Because why the hell would you do that?
Yeah. So it's like having that's a lot of money in video cards that you don't need. So
yeah.
I will agree with you on this.
So yeah, E3 is coming up. It's this month.
I'm excited.
Within a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. We already have some information trickling out here. I was able to find some games that were actually going to be confirmed to appear at E3.
Okay.
So I'm just going to run down this list real quick.
All right.
And then I'll see if anybody's heard of this. So stop me if you've heard of these or you're excited for them or something like that.
I'm not excited.
You're not excited for any of these games?
Stop. I don't know.
He just wants you to stop. He's being a troll.
So a game called ARMS has been announced for the Switch.
Yawn.
Yawn.
And Legs will be out for the Xbox.
2064 read-only memories, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So it's a cross-platform one.
Cool.
A dual-hand disaster tracker, all one word. All cross-platform. A Plague Tale Innocent still has not announced a platform. Asura on the PC. Avon Colony cross-platform. Aztez cross-platform way out there because it's also coming out on Wii U and Vita.
Wait, isn't Aztez already out for PC?
Apparently they're doing a re-release for it or something. I don't know. We've got a ways to go.
You dying?
Yeah. Got a lot to say and it's all trying to get out at once. Excuse me.
Oh. Then you'll get you a water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Battlefield 1 in the Name of the Tsar. It's an expansion for the Battlefield 1 that came out. Apparently just blew up like wildfire.
Nice.
Again, cross-platform, current gen.
That's DLC. Who cares?
Battleslots 2025, The Great Pizza Wars. It's PC and Mac only. Sounds like an indie game.
It is. And that one is actually made by Rooster Teeth Games. Like, they actually put together a gaming studio. And they got one of the head directors of Gearhead to run that studio. So the people that did Borderlands, he got Gearbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gearbox. They picked up that director to run the game studio.
Huh.
Cool.
That might be interesting to check out.
That might be.
Blasters of the Universe on PC again. Another one sounds like that. Call of Cthulhu cross-platform.
There's been Cthulhu games.
There's been a lot of
Wait,
Call
is that
Cthulhu
a reboot?
Call of Cthulhu, it's kind of weird.
There was a Call of Cthulhu game.
There's a few, actually. The thing about it is Call of Cthulhu is actually a pencil and paper RPG. So there is an RPG structure to it already out there.
Yeah.
And it's really just translating that into some form of story and putting it out there on a platform. Call of Duty, wonk, wonk, wonk. Coma Remembered.
Is it called Call of Duty Wonk Wonk Wonk?
Well, it's Wonk Wonk 2.
Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
They didn't do good in space, so they're going back to World War II,
Yeah.
which is where Call of Duty started, was World War II.
Keep in mind that if you take all of the Call of Duty
I was just kind of hoping it would be Wonk Wonk Wonk.
Well, if you take all of the World War games that have come out, World War II games, and put them gameplay-wise end to end, back to back, the games themselves will probably last longer than the war did.
No, because the war was like 4 years, and nowadays
I'm making a statement, sir. There's way too many World War
He said Wonk
games.
Wonk Wonk. Obviously, he doesn't care about the game.
Fate Extella, the Umbral Star. That sounds JRPG. Oh,
Yes, that
it's
is.
coming out on the Vita. Of course, it's a JRPG.
Wait,
FIFA,
Vita's still a thing?
yeah, Vita
In
is still
Japan.
getting
Japan it
releases.
is.
Yeah, FIFA 18. That's probably why it's getting all JRPGs. Is because it's all in Japan.
Wait, if you're doing FIFA, might as well announce NBA Live and Madden and
well, yeah, it's down
hockey.
here. It's down
and
here. Yeah.
All your 2018 sports games are getting shown
Yeah,
off.
The sports games are coming, guys.
Done.
It's been going on.
Could you let him read the list?
Genesis Alpha 1, again, cross-platform. Current gen.
Genesis?
Genesis Alpha 1.
Is it the Terminator game?
Harvest Moon is
Which
getting
one?
is getting a new one.
Nice.
Light of Hope.
It's going to be on the Switch and the PC.
Yeah,
That's
Switch and
scary.
PC. That's
Harvest
interesting.
Moon's on the PC now.
Switch, PC, and PS4.
You'll never see sleep again.
I didn't get into the original Harvest Moon.
Oh, I thought it was you.
No. No, I couldn't.
Oh no, it was Animal Planet.
Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
sorry. Animal Planet.
Yeah, but I gave that up. I am a good addict.
I gave up Animal Planet 2 when I got rid of cable.
Kingsway, PC title, again, sounds indie or something along
Mm-hmm.
those lines. Madden NFL 18. Masquerada Songs and Shadows is on something called the PX. I'm thinking that's a typo.
Probably PC.
PC, yeah. Mystic Melee, or Melee, however you say that thing. NBA Live, Need for Speed Payback. So we're getting a new Need for Speed game.
They're never going to get rid of those games.
Nidhogg 2 they've announced that they're going to show it at E3.
You know, every time you say Nidhogg, I'm thinking the boss from Final Fantasy 14 Online.
No, it's a rather fun game
No, I've
that we
seen,
played for
I've,
the channel.
I've seen it, yeah.
Overland, Readout, and Roto Color Rhythm, all on PC. Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, PS4 and PC. Semblance on the PC. Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. That sounds like a nice American title. It's on PS4.
Uh-huh.
Shantae Half Genie Hero is getting a
Yes.
release on PS4, Xbox One, Vita, Nintendo Switch, and PC.
That's a re-release.
Songbringer. PS4.
Did she bring on the
current gen.
songs? Or he?
I have no clue. And then Splatoon 2 has been announced. Officially, they're going to be showing it at E3.
I actually kind of want to play the first one.
I
But I'm not going to buy a Switch just so I can play that
yeah,
game.
not me neither. And even then, you have to buy a Wii U to play the original Splatoon.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was on the Switch.
No.
Oh, then the only reason why I would buy the Switch would be The Legend of Zelda.
Not Mario and Splatoon 2?
Nope. It'd be my Legend of Zelda box.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, which we know is coming.
Yeah, we knew that was coming. State of Decay 2. Which is apparently some zombie survivalish kind of thing, I think.
The first game was like a bad sort of good game.
So the first game was a zombie game?
It was.
So is this the one where the zombies are now becoming human?
Who knows?
A game called Sumer.
Who knows?
Sumer, I guess, has something to do with Sumeria because that's how it's spelled. It's going to come out on PC. A game called Sundered, which is got probably my award for the most original game title on this list. Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, so they have announced the Mario for the Switch. We're going to be seeing that.
Or he's in the real world.
He's in the real world, yeah. He's running around cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like those disturbing videos I found on YouTube?
There was a movie about this happened in the 80s. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm fully aware of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you talking about?
There's a lot of those.
Super Mario Brothers?
Except they go from the
sorry.
real world into the Mushroom Kingdom.
I thought you were talking about the one where a cartoon world that goes into the real world and it has a.
That's the exact same. This is this game, Super Mario Odyssey.
is
It's
No,
going to go
I
between
thought you
the
were talking
two.
about the one with the blonde dancing girl.
The Cool World?
Cool World.
That's Cool World. That's like Roger Rabbit. No.
That's not Roger.
That is
The
not like Roger Rabbit.
That's
Do
not like Roger. Yeah.
tell those people
Yeah,
that.
please. Yeah.
Cool World and Roger Rabbit are the same.
No, they're not the same thing.
Firstly, Roger Rabbit is a Disney movie
Yeah.
and has
And
the
second-
limitations that a Disney movie has.
Actually, it's a Touchstone movie. It wasn't a Disney movie.
Actually,
Because it had Wonder-
Touchstone Pictures
Yeah.
is owned by Disney.
Now. But they were Warner Brothers at the time.
Anyways,
So, The Escapist 2. So, apparently that one was popular enough.
so
that
they
made another.
failed escaping the first time.
I guess.
Wah, wah,
Or they're always escaping. I don't know. The King's Bird, to be announced as far as platform is concerned. A game called Vampire, Pyr.
Vampire.
Vampire for current cross-platform.
This list is so boring.
Yes, it is. I don't hear anything here. Yick,
Yick.
Yiik.
Yick.
Yick, a postmodern RPG.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, so it's Fallout 5.
PS4, Vita, PC, Wii U. No, it's on the Vita. It's not going to be Fallout 5. It's
be
going to
next-
be a digital novel where you spend time throwing numbers at other numbers.
That's Fallout.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yoku's Island Express, and Zwei, the Ilvard Resurrection.
And then they got the rumored games that are going to...
Yeah, rumored games are Borderlands 3, Crackdown 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Days Gone, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy. So all the ones that you want to hear about are rumored to be there, but of course they're not going to say a damn thing till the day of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, I know the Borderlands 3 is in production. It is in development, and we're hopefully going to see some sort of sneak peek of it, and it's not going to just completely die in a crib. But things like Cyberpunk 2077, CG Projekt Red has been working on that since before The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. They stopped and halted development on it to concentrate on Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and the DLC for that. So, I mean, we know that there are assets. We know that there is a game in plan and in production at some stage, but we don't know.
They're probably going to be 2018, 2019 for that game.
Yeah, we don't know if we're going to hear much about that for a while there. Destiny 2 has already been announced.
Yeah,
they're already going to do that. There's the Final Fantasy 7 remake. We already know that's going to be announced. We got
I
a little
thought
bit of
they
news.
delayed that.
It's delayed to 2018.
Yeah, but we got a little bit of news on that actually.
But they still got to show it off just to keep the hype train going.
So the Final Fantasy 7 remake I just announced that they have switched the focus so that it is no longer an outside party developer. They are now developing the game in-house. Which people are saying, they're saying that this is a good thing, but when the people who are working on the game come out and say this is a good thing, it's a little dubious. Because, what
was the last one that they said it's a good thing and then it ended up being a disaster?
From Square Enix?
Not Square Enix. Just a reboot of the
Sorry,
game.
there's just way too many on the list to really come up with. I mean, this is a pretty common thing to have happen. What it tells me is that whatever's going on with those outside developers, either they weren't hitting milestones or what they were coming up with was not suitable, which is weird because it's a game that's already made. I know that they're trying to take it episodic, and I know that they're probably going to try and shove in as much extraneous bullshit information as they can think of, and we don't really need this game repainted and sold back to us, along with all of the other stuff that's being repainted and sold back to us. That is my official view on the whole thing. But how can you take a game that has already been made? You have the entire outline there in front of you and not hit the milestones enough that that Square Enix has to take it back and be like, no, we're going to do it.
Well, they did the same with Kingdom Hearts 3 too. I think they pulled that one back.
Oh man, Kingdom Hearts is such a mess. Anyway, I mean, they've been repacked. They've been putting. Kingdom Hearts 1 is the only actual Kingdom Hearts game. And every other game that came out after that, they took the original Kingdom Hearts, dumped it in a blender, and then sold whatever came out at the end.
I love the memes where I found it with kids playing it, and then when Kingdom Hearts 2 is released, he's a middle-aged adult, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 released, he's an old man going.
See, we got apparently there's a reboot of God of War.
Cool.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is on the list. They're making another knack. Mario plus Rabbids.
Yeah. Rabbits. Yeah, that's an interesting.
Apparently, the Rabbids they're trying to really shove that down our throat as a current generation mascot of sorts. Middle Earth: Shadow of War. So of course, more Hobbit stuff.
More Hobbit stuff is awesome. We need more Hobbit stuff.
I will read this quote verbatim. Next Assassin's Creed.
Go back to the Hobbit stuff.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, I've heard that they're going to try to reboot. So they're going to do an origin story again.
That was another thing I was going to talk about. The word origin.
I think I need to lay down for a little bit. I just felt like a muscle in my back like pop because you just said that.
Origin?
Yeah, they're going to reboot Assassin's Creed. Like, that game was so short.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
They're going to tell you the origin of the origins.
Shenmue 3.
I don't think we're going to see that, though. Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
You know what you don't see on here? Hideo Kojima's new game.
Yeah. Death Stranding. Well, that's just because this list right here is just stuff that's rumored. This is rumored. The stuff that we've just been talking about is rumored. The stuff that we were talking about before has been confirmed. And these are just the small studios and the things that the studios feel safe enough saying that's going to be there. Kojima's thing, I mean, they've been striving on silence, basically, and speculation and keeping people guessing. And they're not trying to overhype something beyond the release trailers and coming out with that. They're doing what they were doing, trying to pull off with Silent Hills, which is keep people intrigued and talking about it enough while they actually work on the game, and not spend a lot of time trying to find the next asset to leak out and the next thing to sort of dangle in front of them and just sort of half-ass the development.
Oh, so they're trying not to pull a No Man's Sky.
Yeah, basically.
You know what game they should reboot?
No Man's Sky?
Shaq Fu.
I'm pretty sure Shaq would be totally down for that.
I've
They
heard
should reboot Shaq Fu.
I heard rumor there was going to be a new Shaq movie or something.
All right, and the last three on the list: South Park: Fractured Butthole, Spider-Man, some game, and then WWE 2K18. So, we've got a pretty good, interesting list that E3 is going to keep us buzzing about. The thing that's being tried right now is apparently they're going to be simulcasting at least PlayStation is simulcasting their presentation, where it's not just the actual presentation and then an online stream, but they're also broadcasting it to movie theaters across the nation, or across the globe for that matter.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I tried to get in, but the website crashed within like 10 seconds of going live. So hopefully they were able to figure something out there.
Well, we'll see.
Now, on a system note, I read a while back that the PlayStation 3 is no longer being produced in Japan.
Yep.
They finally ended the life of PlayStation 3.
PS3 is officially taking one more step closer to being called a retro console.
No.
Sorry, dude. They already ended its life as being produced in Japan.
Not a retro console.
It's going to be there.
It's yet.
Yeah, he's right. He didn't say it was. He said it's stepping towards that.
It is, but it's not there yet.
It'll be there.
You didn't hear the conversation earlier.
It'll be there.
So
Just give it another month.
no.
It'll be a retro. It'll be a retro system.
It's not going to be a retro system in a month.
So I think we're going to jump back to Computex.
Are we?
Yeah, I believe let's jump back to Computex here. And first, GeForce has announced their Max-Q design line.
Max-Q.
Yeah, Max-Q approach and whisper mode as far as coming out for gaming, specifically focusing on gaming portables, laptops. They've announced 40 new gaming products, including 15 dazzling new laptops.
Now, this is something I'm actually okay with. I mean, this is blurring the line finally, where they're actually making laptops that the GPUs rival the desktops.
Yeah. And it's not that we have some sort of mobile thing that is in some way 75%.
Yeah, not like the 660Ms or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I the better part of my years using laptops, playing games on them, it was always understanding that the laptop had a mobile chipset and that it was never going to be as capable as the desktop chipset.
Yeah.
And still being able to do things like, RAID heal at work with like a 10 FPS output. And still be able to keep and heal effectively. Like people are saying, you're a good healer. What the hell are you wearing? Essentially, because I always just wore whatever max the stat.
But the fact that now that they're rivaling, that's a good thing.
So the big thing that they're pushing out is that with their latest one, the super thin ultralight gaming laptop, then had a thickness of 51 millimeters. This one now is 18 millimeters thick. 5 pounds as opposed to the 10 pounds that a gaming laptop would normally have. And contains, instead of a GTX 880M, we'll have a GTX 1080 actual card inside it. So 18 millimeter laptop, ultra light, ultra thin
with
laptop.
a 1080.
With a 1080.
And how much is that laptop?
Right now, this is kind of a sales blurb, but it's a sales blurb where they basically say it's coming, and they haven't really announced the price yet.
So it's probably going to be like $9,000.
No.
Just
it
like
won't be.
that 21-inch one.
Won't be.
No.
Because already
They want to make these affordable.
The 1080s like instantly dropped $100 when they announced the 1080X. And it was one of those things where they didn't have the competition. But so these prices are going to, if these are anything, they're going to be like $1,600, $2,000, maybe $2,400 laptops because it's just one 1080 card.
True.
Because right now you can get
and a 17-inch monitor.
You can get for about $1,100 a new Dell Inspiron 15 gaming laptop with like a 1050 Ti in it.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Which is a very solid gaming
HP
laptop.
also makes.
I use an HP Omen laptop, and it so far has not let me down. I'm very
the Omens with the
satisfied
1050s in them are pretty good.
Yeah.
A big thing that they pushed with these was that they wanted to push laptop gaming away from the idea that a gaming laptop is going to be this huge chunk, this luggable
That was a
kind of
big
thing.
thing I saw this generation too. Is
Yeah.
because they've been pushing getting the heat down. It's allowed these laptops to get thinner. So that's a good
pushing
thing.
the heat down, pushing down the power consumption, so you don't have some big brick battery going on.
Heating up everything.
And yeah, I mean, well, when we had these luggable laptops coming out, even the Omens and the ROGs and stuff like that, and there's actually, if you read the manual documentation, if you are one of those heathens that does that kind of thing, then they would say there is a warning in some of those manuals saying do not actually play high-end games with this laptop on your lap. Like, it could actually get hot enough to cause damage to you. Maybe not burn you per se, but it could cook part of you or something like that. And, you know, it kind of is a matter of marketing where it's like, how do we communicate this effectively without saying this will harm you if you do what you want to do with it? But we totally say you can do what you want to do with it. Just don't do this particular thing.
Right? Just don't do the A,
Yeah.
B, and C.
Anybody who's trying to game with it on their lap is not being a true gamer, anyways.
Yeah, you know, it's got to be on the floor.
At the very least.
At the very least.
Or a table.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, but basically, yeah, they wanted to push it away and be like, well, we've got these ultralight, like ultra portable laptops. Why can't we take that and keep that form factor and still have something that is at least capable of playing video games?
Yeah.
If not actually currently capable of competing with actual desktop level gaming.
Well, the nice thing is now is when you go take one of these and you're worried about overheating, you know, you can go game in one of the best places in the world to keep it cool, Mount Everest. Because Mount Everest has Wi-Fi available now.
What?
Yep. Courtesy of Everest Link, Wi-Fi is now available on the world's highest mountaintop for those who have spotty cellular service but need to alert friends that they may be about to die from oxygen deprivation or fatigue.
Yeah, I remember reading quotes somewhere like,
So you can announce, hey, I'm going to die here soon. You can keep my stuff.
yeah, just
Apparently.
remember, you know, all of the corpses on Mount Everest used to be extremely motivated people.
Yeah. So, you
They
know,
used to be extremely motivated people. Now they're sad.
Well, now they have Wi-Fi, so at least, you know, you can watch YouTube while you're
dying.
asphyxiating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat video.
I think that's a publicity stunt kind of thing. I mean, it's nice that there's. I mean, I remember one time I was researching for a camping trip like a year or two ago, and trying to just find a camping spot. And one of the sites I said, and it was one of the big blurbs about, you know, come here and camp with us kind of thing. And these are national parks and stuff like that, like campgrounds within the national parks. And in Pagosa Springs, there is a campground where it's lots where you can go and set up your tent and everything, has Wi-Fi. Like you can stop at the ranger station and get your Wi-Fi password for that area and have Wi-Fi while you're out camping.
Because, you know, that's what camping's for, right?
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know. I mean, with cloud services and me streaming music and that kind of thing, and people being basically hooked on their phones, I can imagine actually going out there and people experiencing some sort of psychological trauma, having to be cut off like that. Mm-hmm. Where it used to be that was just a way of setting up some sort of sense of isolation, or people being forced to go back to like old world ways where they actually had to look people in the face and talk to them.
I know, right?
But
no
now
one wants to do that
it's-
anymore.
Now it actually could be enough of a psychological dependence that if you were to do that to a young enough person, they could essentially end up damaging themselves or having damage caused to themselves because of this lack of connectivity.
That's weird.
That's a weird concept.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Sound off on the comments down below if you think that that's a dumb idea or not. I mean, that sounds pretty relevant.
Speaking of dumb ideas, let's get into what YouTube put out this last week.
Man.
Oh, what they do this
Yeah.
time.
So we've been there's been the experience of was YouTube adpocalypse been going on since like basically March or April at this point.
Yeah, YouTube pulled a whole bunch of advertising from a bunch of YouTubers, both popular and not so popular.
Because a lot of it because of the Wall Street Journal, because you know it was a hit piece where they were saying like racist stuff was being put on or basically ads were showing on racist videos or something like this. And then they came out just the other day with new advertiser friendly content guidelines. And the big thing,
It's the most extensive way of saying deal with it I've ever read.
yeah. So they're saying basically if you are looking to make money, including that you should avoid hateful content, videos promoting discrimination, inappropriate use of family entertainment characters, showing characters engaging in violence, sexual, vile behaviors,
Okay.
and incendiary and demeaning content using gratuitously disrespectful language that shames or insults. Videos that do not comply with AdSense policies and the company's ads-friendly guidelines will not be eligible for advertising. Now, this is all sounds wholesome and fine on the surface until you kind of get into some of the meats and bones of it and everything else. One of the biggest ones that's coming up that has a lot of the gaming community going is like, are you going to allow us to monetize Call of Duty World War II? Because typically people that put out things in regards to World War II in the past have been demonetized. Even if you're doing a factual, historical, actual history content. And while some of this is to clear up the things like, the Elsa Spider-Man type videos and stuff like that, it's had a much stronger impact on basically gamers or other creators too. Even people doing like spooky and scary movies and everything like this, or creepy things like the occult, like playing with a Ouija board in a haunted house by yourself.
Essentially, this exists. This announcement exists to sort of clarify some of that ambiguity that they were accused of with the first initial statements about what the guidelines were and what the limitations were. Where people are saying that's way too vague. That means that you could basically shove any video under these rules and take away our monetization. And it is an agreement between the content creator and YouTube that this whole advertising thing works. YouTube makes the lion's share of the money from the advertisers because they pull in the advertisers and set up the system that actually shows the advertisements. But the creator is the person who pulls in the audience. And right now what YouTube is basically saying is that we're actually going to listen to the advertisers more than the content creators, which is true. A lot of bad apples kind of maybe spoiled the whole bunch for all of us.
That's true.
There are hateful, horrible videos put up on YouTube that are protected by free speech, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can make money saying that kind of stuff, doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that, but it's also like, these parody videos where you're seeing, Elsa and Spider-Man, we're getting lots of flack where is
that specifically a cited one, the Elsa and Spider-Man?
What is the Elsa and Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that's come up after all this stuff where they were getting ads because they show up as family friendly for like the first couple minutes or something like that. But then later on, it's, you have Spider-Man beating up like Elsa in the middle of like a tea time argument, or else while it looks like they're having a nice conversation, drinking tea and whatnot, if you actually listen to it,
they're saying some really horrible stuff,
and they're cussing each other and like having basically a fight about a divorce, or Spider-Man's pissing on like Elsa or something like that.
Yeah, so this all kind of falls under like parody use or something like that. Just taking, and that's unfortunately a shtick, and it's a pretty common shtick. So if you think you're the first one to think of it, you're not. But take something that's usually wholesome and pure and innocent, and something that's guided towards children, and adultifying it or corrupting it, and just the fact that it's the juxtaposition of this very innocent appearance and these really horrible things happening is supposed to be the entertainment value.
Yeah, so it's going to get rid of these things, but the problem is these guidelines are still insanely loose because we still seeing the effects of this. Less players are seeing it. I know a lot of horror people are seeing it. The specifics of this, and they've given more control to the advertisers too with some stuff. But the actual straight up what is said is hateful content. Content that promotes discrimination or disparages or humiliates an individual or group of people on the basis of the individual's or group's race, ethnicity or ethnic origin, nationality, religion, disability, age, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or other characteristics associated with systematic discrimination or marginalization. That's a huge brushstroke there, right?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
So basically it's like if somebody goes, I'm offended by that, and they can report it and it can become demonetized. Inappropriate use of family entertainment characters. Content that depicts family entertainment characters engaged in violent, sexual, vile, or otherwise inappropriate behavior, even if done for comedic or satirical purposes.
Well,
so that means if you're making comedic or satire, you cannot get monetized. So if you're Family Guy, you can still have monetization. If you are Futurama, you can still have monetization, even though that's where it's that's where it rankles the creators, because if you are a small creator and you're making something that's satirical like this, you can't be monetized. But somebody like Family Guy or some of the air shows on Cartoon Network that have parodied stuff, they can be monetized because they're big studios.
But I mean, I understand that these companies can take their videos and put them on YouTube and make money off of that because they're a big company putting their stuff on YouTube. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where you have to understand that these people do not fit the bill of content creator when they do that kind of thing. They are production companies. These are and anything that they put on YouTube, they're not going to put a whole season of their content on YouTube.
Yeah, they're just going to put like
There's not a whole season of Family Guy on YouTube. So they're not uploading all of their content for the sole digestion of YouTube's audience. They're putting it on there to draw people to come and watch their show. And I guarantee you, on every single piece of Family Guy content, for example, in the description or even on the video itself, is probably going to say, Family Guy airs at such and such a time on this channel. You know, go and record it or something like that. They're advertising. When you watch Family Guy or Futurama or any of this major company stuff, you're watching a protracted commercial. You're not watching content. So
it's still content, though.
Yeah.
It's still content. It may be a protracted commercial, but it's still, if you look at these guidelines, they are acted like an exception to these guidelines. Mm-hmm. Now, the other one is incendiary and demeaning content. Content that is gratuitously incendiary, inflammatory, or demeaning. For example, video content that uses gratuitously disrespectful language that shames or insults a group or individual. Now, comedians can still get their entire shows put up if you're a big one, and it can be viewed, or it can go underneath YouTube Red, which is still a monetization. So it can still get monetized. But anybody trying to become a comedian, even if you've done little local shows and whatnot, you're more likely to get demonetized.
That's entirely possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you are making a skit, because SNL skits will get put out all the time, they can be monetized. You know, we've seen plenty of ads on them, but the creator that's starting out or a smaller production studio is more likely to get slapped with demonetization.
So this is the reason, one of the reasons why I say that this whole statement, this and the follow-up one where they actually were a little more in depth about this information, and even then it was still somewhat ambiguous, and you know, you could pretty much shove any video underneath that if you were a small creator and get your monetization. But essentially, YouTube is making this a very long-form version of saying, deal with it. They're announcing that they're falling in line with the advertisers because that's where the money comes from. And content creators are going to, they say, in the statement themselves, they say, look, we're not telling you can't make these videos. We're not telling you don't make these videos. We're just saying that we're not going to pay you to make these videos. The advertisers are not going to pay for these videos.
Yeah.
That, you know, they don't want to do that kind of thing. They don't want to support these kinds of things. And the unfortunate,
it's horse hockey too,
Yeah.
because a lot of those creators do support those things because you see it like that all the time on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at, again, Family Guy is a very valuable slot. South Park is a very valuable slot, you know, on cable TV.
Yeah, but even then, these things only have small, in the grand scheme of things, in the community, the content consuming public and all. These shows that you're bringing up have a small fan base that supports everything that they do. And while there are people who will watch it because, oh, this is on, I mean, they all look at it. And I had to stop watching stuff like Family Guy and American Dad and South Park because it was just too dumb and just willfully insulting and just looking for the next thing to just sort of poke and prod at, the next hot button topic to just sit there and keep poking at because it draws in views. They don't care. They're not making a political statement. They want you to watch so that you see the advertisements and they make money. So that's what it comes down to. And with YouTube making this statement, it's very, very obvious that what they're saying is we want money more than we want content.
Well,
and right now enough content gets put on YouTube, more than enough content. Even if people who are really incensed about this left or, you know, made the most hateful content that they can think of or whatever they can to try and fight back against this, there are still enough people signing on to YouTube for the first time, signing up for YouTube every single day to put content up there, and people are going to watch that, and YouTube's not going to share around your stuff because you're a squeaky wheel.
Ultimately,
so this is basically deal with it, the political the full-on statement.
Yeah, ultimately where YouTube started and where they're at now, it's like they are very much going corporate. you know, at this point. And it's funny because even like bigger content creators that have been around for a while and have like 12 million, 15 million, 20 million, you know, they get demonetized because they are not a production studio per se, but yet they are in a new sense because they usually have production teams behind them nowadays. And they're even getting hit by this where they're losing. We're not talking 10% revenue. We're not talking 20% revenue. We have people that are getting hit with like 70 and 80% revenue loss because of all this. And this has been going on since March. Now,
It's crazy.
what's interesting on the other side of all this is VidMe is actually talking about ramping up and actively working with creators and advertisers to start piloting for the second time ads on videos or ads on the site because they did this October and you know where there was little ads that were showing up on certain creators, not necessarily videos on top of the videos, but showed up in the upper right hand corner. But now they're actually looking to get them integrated into the video for like ad revenue share back to the creators. So this is a site, while it's smaller, maybe the place. I saw you twitched. What
I'm an outspoken opponent to advertising, especially video advertising on the internet.
you are?
Yes.
But the thing is, that sometimes this is a necessary thing.
No.
You don't think it's a necessary thing.
While the internet itself is a visual medium, and it does stand to reason that people are going to watch videos, so of course the advertisements are going to need to be videos. I believe that the videos themselves take up resources that are unnecessary and that they are most often ignored or endured rather than being used as actual advertisements. An advertisement is supposed to be something that lets you know that a product is available and where to get it.
A lot of those, it's been proven quite a few times that those 5 or 15-second ad impressions before a video, the ones that you can't skip, still leaves a psychological impression on the majority of people.
Which means it's hacking you. This is not a willful, oh, I want to know about this product. It's being forced into your head, and in some ways they're actually trying to entice you or influence you to buy it when you don't need it. Advertising in general has been psychologically hacking people for generations.
Yeah. Or so like, hey, we're still here, you know,
Yeah.
so that next time it's like, oh, I got pissed off with the car insurance. Hey, look, I've seen this Progressive ad like a bazillion times, but right now I'm pissed off about car insurance and it's in my mind. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to call Progressive.
Yeah.
So
it is just basically like, you know, it is hacking you.
it's a necessary evil.
It is not a necessary evil. It is evil, period. The fact that this needs to be done, this does not need to be done in order to sell products. This needs to be done in order to increase the sales of products beyond the threshold of what the product is actually worth. It's forcing people to buy stuff they don't need. It's forcing people to waste money and in some places ruin their lives. And it's annoying as hell. And in a lot of cases, it's also unsafe for a computer system because they don't bother. I mean, who watches the ad people? Who decides where those advertisements are served, or who actually has access to put those advertisements out there in the first place? I block advertisements for the security of my system because there's no way of verifying where the stuff is coming from. In a lot of cases, it could actually run code on your system without your knowledge.
Not usually the actual in-place ads that play on the video. So you're talking about like the pop-up ads that are all over the place. That's a little bit different versus the embedded video ads.
Embedded video ads are just annoying because also the other thing is they don't vary them enough. If you go watching a YouTube video or even a series of YouTube videos by the same creators or something like that, you're going to see the same Jeep commercial, 10-second Jeep commercial over and over and over every time that you watch it. You're going to, you know, I've had 1-minute ads play in front of 30-second videos, which granted they've fought against a little. They fixed that a little bit, but I mean the fact that happened at all in the first place shows where the allegiances lie.
The thing is, though, is that the vast majority of people do not pay for YouTube Red to either A, not get those advertisements, or B, on VidMe are going to end up paying for subscriptions to not see those ads. So there has to be some way to still get some sort of presence and help support the creators in the site.
Yeah, but this isn't even supporting the creators anymore. And that's another problem that it comes from is, sure, the advertisers now are becoming a major part of the money that's moving through a content site like YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, this is happening on content sites all around, but YouTube is the biggest one and it's where the most effect is felt.
Yeah.
So now the advertisers have felt like they have enough of a stake in the actual content creation to say that they don't like this or that or the other thing.
And that's happened on TV since the beginning of time, too.
Yeah, and advertisers have actually influenced the kind of information that gets put, the kind of shows that get put out on television.
I've seen that on the Twilight Zone, where advertisers specifically said, you cannot have this, and try to sterilize the set. And this is something that people are going to have to work with. But it's also, the thing is, people go to the internet because they're tired of the sterilization of the TV. But if YouTube is starting to become so sterilized like TV anyways, that means they're going to shift over to someplace else like VidMe. And as long as VidMe sticks to their guns and say, we want the weird, we want the cussing, give us all the stuff that is not, being liked right now on YouTube, and are still getting advertisers, and allow the advertisers to control where the stuff is set by actually setting up a proper structure to begin with, then they're going to end up getting legs and running. And there's silence.
I don't.
Legs and running.
Look, you can say all that you like, and I will accept the fact that it's going to happen whether I like it or not. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to spontaneously say I like it, and I agree with you. The advertising in itself has been a horrible, horrible evil and a blight on this community, on this society. I believe that fully. You can call me a conspiracy theorist all you like or whatever, but it was designed around influencing people, and it has gone way out of hand.
Well, speaking of influencing people.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
You have anything else you'd like to add right now?
Nah, man.
Okay.
I think I've said my piece.
I have been playing Overwatch. Have you seen a lot of that? You've been playing Overwatch, right?
I've been playing Overwatch.
Have you seen that they want to put the guy from the Old Spice commercial as the voice for
Doomfist?
Doomfist?
Yeah, I've heard that.
What is his name?
Terry Crews?
Terry Crews.
Yeah. That would be actually kind of cool.
And that's advertising. So.
Yeah.
But.
Fine. Sorry. I saw an advertisement.
That's like when it was like, we're going to actually get Mohawks. In
World
of Warcraft.
I remember that. They had the
Mr. T playing
Mr. T
Night
with the
Elf Mohawk.
grenades.
Yeah.
With the grenades. That was pretty awesome.
Well, with all this advertising talk, make sure you
make sure you buy Gatorade.
Thanks. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And you can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Google
Play, yeah.
In the audio format. You can find us over on VidMe. Make sure to subscribe to us monthly at $2 a month. We'll put you in our in-card on our videos on VidMe and YouTube, but not all of them.
Yeah, and of course, to all of you who watch us, and especially to you that subscribe to us, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching us for this entire time. Of course, we'll be coming back with more information for you. Remember to like, comment, upvote, rate, review. Let us know what you think. And
we'll see you
guys next week.
Yes, see ya.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you the source and stuff. I seem to think that Source Filmmaker, by my assumption, is more about model control and being able to have more manipulation over the puppetry.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
As opposed to like something like Gary's mod, where all you really do is just pose the ragdolls.
Yeah, it's just like you're dragging
the